Oh, Jesus.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Shyla.
I'm Sarah.
And this is Father, Son, and the Holy Sisters. Taking back the Holy Trinity. How are you?
Me?
Yeah, you. No, I'm talking to our doll. I'm talking to our doll.
How are you?
How are
Have
you,
we come
my
up with
dear?
a name for her yet?
I don't know. I think Heather said Elise.
I like Elise.
And I liked that. And then Grandma Darlene said something, but I don't remember what she mentioned. But I like the name that she mentioned, too. I don't know. We'll figure it out one day. It'll, like, come to us in, like, a dream or something crazy like that.
Yes. Yes. Ooh.
Go.
I had a tattoo idea to get that stump from the crazy dream that I had.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you should.
Okay,
Speaking of tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
We got matching tattoos.
We did.
Another matching tattoo. We have lilacs on our chest for our mom, because it's my mom's favorite. My mom's favorite flower.
I'm not pulling mine out. I'm wearing a turtleneck.
And then we got little UFOs. I got mine on the back of my elbow.
You can't see it well. They're teeny little babies.
Sarah got hers on like the front of her arm.
We got them for Friday the 13th.
Yep. At a tattoo shop in our town, they were doing
like $40.
Yeah, it was
tattoos.
$40. Yep.
Yeah.
And you got to pick from a bunch of different ones. We got little UFOs. The guy I had was like, now you got to add a little cow under the UFO.
Yes.
So
or
that
a
would be
two-headed
fun.
deer.
Yep. We're going to be talking about Creepypasta. Creepypasta.
Creepy. I'm ready for this. I'm bundled up in my blanket, trying to be all cozy.
Right.
Because I'm freezing cold down here, but you know.
I'm perfect temperature.
Neither here nor there.
My house is set at like 69 or 68 sometimes now.
It's winter.
Yeah, but like
negative
when you have heat,
degrees.
You're warm inside. If it's 60 outside in Minnesota, we fucking wear shorts. Like, what? And then everyone's saying my house is freezing. Like, no, bitch. We wear shorts when it's like 50 degrees. When it starts getting 50 degrees, everyone in Minnesota wears like, okay,
I wear a long sleeve and long pants.
At least a t-shirt. No.
I get chilly.
I don't believe you.
Okay, you don't have to. It's different in a house. I want to be comfortable.
I'd rather bundle up than be warm.
Well, yeah, me too, but I don't want my fingers to turn cold.
My fingers aren't cold.
Mine always do.
Okay. Let's get into it.
Okay.
So, Trevor Henderson,
yes.
He is the art of horror, and we're going to be kind of talking about him, and then we're going to share some creepypastas as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sarah, do you want to start us out?
Yes. So, well, Trevor Henderson is like, he kind of became famous online for making horror art, and we'll go into like his story and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and he has an Instagram too.
He is a Canadian horror, a Canadian horror artist and illustrator, and now a musical artist, which I didn't know
he was a musical artist. We'll have to look at his music.
Yeah. So he's been known for making cryptid, creepy internet creatures, such as Siren Head, Cartoon Cat, Bridgeworm, and many others.
Oh my god. Siren Head is all over.
Yeah, he's the most famous for that one.
And I've seen Cartoon Cat and Bridgeworm a bunch too.
And I found a website that I linked, and we'll have to link in like the show notes, that have like all of his work, and they're so creepy. Like,
yes.
I could not look at all of them. They're so
people
scary.
Have made like a bunch of stuff about his work. Like, people make like videos about Siren Head and like Bridgeworm all the time, and like creepy stories. What's the other one? Like the weird horse thing that's like a skeleton.
I know what you're talking.
Long Horse.
Yeah,
it's called Long Horse. People make YouTube videos of like Long Horse being in their house, like on their camera at night and stuff. They're pretty funny because they make it like cheesy, like it's obviously fake.
Right.
Like the Long Horse ones are the ones I've seen, but they're creepy. So he was born Trevor Henderson on April 11th, 1986. Since Henderson was little, he's always been interested in horror and monsters. That's kind of cool. Like, he's just always been interested in that stuff. His father is also a horror lover who introduced Henderson to the genre. Both of Henderson's parents are supportive of his work. Dang.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's kind of cool. We never really, like, watched anything horror growing up. The only movie I remember watching, what was it called? Ghost Ship.
Oh my god.
That was the one that we would watch when we were younger. Not, like, super young, but, like,
that one's
I feel like pretty young.
Yeah.
Like,
for the rating of that movie.
Yeah. Was it, like,
I just remember
middle school? I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I think I was in, like, 8th grade, so you and Hannah were younger.
I was at Hannah's friend's house with her. And they, like, would watch that movie all the time, and I was just there one time that they were
and then I
watching
remember
it.
one time, like, we had it at our house at some point, too, and we would watch it, like, on, like, Christmas break. We would always watch it at Christmas break for some reason.
What a wonderful Christmas
like,
movie.
It's super fucking cheesy.
Yeah.
Like,
it's hilarious.
I haven't seen it in years, but,
like,
back then, I even thought it was cheesy.
Again. Yeah.
Back then, like, I thought it was still cheesy.
Well, I just know that, like, I wasn't a fan of horror when I was really young. Like, into middle school and older I was, but when I was young, you guys made me watch Gremlins, and that movie gave me nightmares. It scarred me.
Gremlins? That movie's so cheesy. Oh my God.
Know, but it literally, like, traumatized me. I'm not even kidding.
God, that's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I never was really scared of Gremlins just because I knew, like...
Well, that's why I didn't want to, like...
so cheesy looking.
Sleep. I wanted to share a room with Hannah and had to have the light on and, like, wanted to sleep with Mom and Dad.
And you slept in Mom's bed for a while, too.
Yeah.
That's because, like, Gremlins?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry I traumatized you so much as a child.
And Dad's ghost show that he would watch, Ghost Hunters.
Yeah, Ghost Hunters. Oh my God.
Watching that, like, spooked me, but I still had to watch because I found it so interesting.
I remember, like, specific episodes of that. Dad would always watch it. He always watches, like, ghost stuff. Yeah. Now he's into, like, alien stuff and, like, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, Bigfoot. Yeah. He's really into Bigfoot, so that's cool.
So, he is well known for his series of horror pictures, which mashes real photographs with drawings of original monsters and wraps them together in found footage style packaging.
So he makes it look like it's, like, real footage.
Right, like someone just stumbled upon this creepy monster in their
house. You just
house.
Randomly see Bridgeworm, like, on a nightly walk.
Right. So creepy.
Yeah, that is super creepy.
Yeah.
Henderson created his most well-known character, Siren Head, in 2018. So that's been, like, well, I'm sure not quite 5 years. I don't know what month it was, but it's been a while. Mm-hmm. He had no intentions of rising to fame until 2020. A video game developer known as Modus Interactive created a video game for Siren Head back in 2018. I remember, like, hearing about that video game, which featured the player exploring the woods in order to find a missing hiker. When the player finds the dead hiker, Siren Head appears behind the player and begins its chase. Creepy. And I've seen, like, they have a Slenderman video game, too.
Yeah, I used to play that.
Yeah, it was creepy.
In, like, middle school with my friends.
Creepy.
Yeah, I vividly have a memory of playing it at one of my friend's birthday party at, like, a hotel. And, like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so creepy. His character became more popular with the public through video game and horror YouTubers. So a lot of, like, YouTubers and video game YouTubers, like, made videos about this character.
I'm sure, like, somewhere someone has made movies, but I feel like they need to make, like, a movie from, like, Lionsgate or, like, a big producer company, like, coming out with a horror movie, like, about, like, Siren Head or something.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh my gosh.
If you were someone who was on the internet in the early 2000s to 2010s, you probably know what the creepypasta phenomenon was. And if you were a horror fan, most likely took part in it, whether a creator or a consumer. I definitely remember, like, my Tumblr days. I feel like I was only 13 in 2010, but, like, there was still creepypastas on Tumblr. When I got Tumblr, I think I was in, like, 9th grade, and there was still kind of creepypastas going around. And now it's getting bigger again.
Yeah. And people used to think, like, are these real? Are these fake? Like, and a lot of them, like, you didn't know because you didn't really know the origin of where the story came from. Because a lot of people posted anonymously or whatever.
And, like, the back rooms, like, that could totally be real. Like, especially in your dreams and stuff, like, just clipping into different realities. I don't know so much of, like, the back rooms that are, like, all over creepypasta on, like, Reddit. I'm not too sure about those types of stories, but, like, I feel like you definitely could, like, skip dimensions and like no clip into places and
We
stuff.
should do a video and podcast
about
back room.
Black rooms. Back rooms.
Back room.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely should.
Yes.
And there's like the original creator. I think it was the original creator. No, I think the original creator was on Reddit. But then someone came out with YouTube videos about the back rooms.
That might have
Didn't I
been
send
the
them to
original
you?
creator.
Was it?
I think
I
it
couldn't
was.
remember if it was on Reddit and then someone made a YouTube, or I couldn't remember.
I'm pretty
but...
sure he started from YouTube, just like short clips, and then they became more.
And then they started like stories about back rooms.
More
like,
recently.
Yeah. But like the YouTube creator, he still is making YouTube videos to this day about back rooms, and they're so realistic looking.
Crazy.
Like they're. Oh my god!
Look up the back
look
rooms.
look up back rooms on YouTube. Or like back rooms creator on
YouTube or TikTok. Like they're ridiculously
creepy.
Yeah, and realistic. So, creepypastas are horror-related internet legends that range from any and all topics. It could be about murder, fantasy, horror, paranormal, etc.
I guess I didn't realize. I thought it was mainly like weird cryptid
anything.
things. So that's kind of cool.
Yep.
They can be short as a single sentence to a series that spans across multiple media types. Like example, Backroom, Slenderman, pictures of giant cloud-like monsters in the sky, Adam Tott's Dear David Twitter thread, and his comics.
Yeah. So, if you guys were on Twitter during like the whole Dear David phenomenon of like this one guy, so Adam Tots, he's a comic artist who like he does a lot of horror comics and they're really good. And he also like, I don't know if it's true or not, but he had this whole experience with a doll that he like found in his hallway in his apartment, and he like kept like photographing and like videoing like his experience with this doll, and like getting creepier and creepier. It gets crazier and crazier. Like you have to look into it if you don't know more about it. But
I don't know, like if I see like one of the popular Dear David Twitter things, would I know what it is? Because I don't think I know.
Well, I read like his thread, like you can find it online, like on a different website from Twitter that like chronicles everything, and like it just is so creepy. Like it follows him like wherever he goes, not just his apartment, and like his animals and everything. And they're actually making like a movie about it too.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. So look into that. The exact origins of creepypastas are unknown. Early creepypastas were usually written anonymously and routinely reposted, making the history of the genre difficult to study.
Huh. Imagine trying to study creepypastas, like where it came from and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm sure if you like actually studied it, you
Right.
would see some weird stuff. Like
Well, people thought that they originated like through chainmail like messages in the 90s.
Oh,
But
I
I don't
see that.
Yeah, I don't know for sure.
I could see it like at something
Yeah.
or MySpace or something like that.
Right.
Like a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Ted the Caver was arguably the earliest example of creepypasta. The story posted on Angel Fire in 2001 was written in the first person from perspective of Ted as he and several friends explored increasingly frightening cave system. Ooh, that'd be cool to read.
Yeah.
And what's Angel Fire?
I think it was
A
just
website?
a website back then
Okay.
that was used to post.
Like a forum of some sort.
Yeah. Major websites dedicated to creepypastas became popular in the late...
wait, start that sentence
Okay,
over.
'cause I think I mistyped
Yeah, probably. I was like, wait, that's how you spell desiccated, though.
Okay.
I just edited out about 20 minutes of Sarah having a full-blown laughing attack, so if you don't want to listen to it, skip ahead like a minute and a half.
Major websites... Sorry. Okay. Okay.
Are you good? Bro, you need to collect yourself. You need to collect yourself. Do you want me to read the next bullet point? This whole entire sentence is spelled incorrectly. Like 4 words. First of all, creepypastas is 1 word. And then you put B-A cum. last.
I don't know what that sentence
was. Major websites dedicated to creepypastas became popular in the late 2000s to early 2010s. That's what she's trying to say.
Okay. Creepypasta.
What the hell is wrong with you right now?
I think she's possessing me.
Don't put those vibes in my house,
She's
please.
not.
I have children.
Creepypasta.
Do you want me to just finish the podcast off? Like, are you okay? What is going on? Oh my god. Creepypasta.com was created in 2008. The r/no sleep Reddit page was created in 2010. So Creepypasta has been around since 2008, like the actual website itself. That's kind of crazy. And you can go to creepypasta.com and just type in like a specific one that you want to see,
right,
and then see the creepypasta story. Or you can click on like most famous or like new. Like you can go through and like look at all the forums on there. Look at all the discussions and stories on there.
Yes. So these are some of like the most famous creepypastas. Jeff the Killer. Jeff the Killer is a story accompanied by an image of the title character. In the story, a teenager named Jeff is on his way to school with his younger brother when they are attacked by a group of bullies. Jeff defends himself and his brother and leaves the assailants lying in the street beaten, their hands and arms broken. After his brother claims he injured the bullies and is arrested, Jeff spends several days distraught before going to a birthday party in the neighborhood where he is attacked by bullies again. Although he manages to kill all of the assailants, he is severely burned during the confrontation after being set on fire. During a stay at the hospital, Jeff realizes that he enjoys harming people and goes insane. The night after he is discharged, he slices his face, leaving a scar in the shape of a smile, and cuts off his eyelids so that he will never sleep. He then murders his parents and brother, whispering, "Go to sleep." While killing his siblings, he becomes a serial killer who sneaks into people's houses at night and whispers, "Go to sleep," to his victims before killing them.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And that story can be traced back to 2008. So that's one of, like, probably the originals that were
Oh my gosh,
posted on
that's
Creepypasta.
crazy.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, the next is 11 Miles Ritual. In the 11 Miles Ritual creepypasta, a person who wishes to fulfill one's wish follows 11 miles of an unknown road with a frightening obstacle at each mile. In the case that the ritual doer reaches the 11th mile, then the ritual is said to have been completed, leading to the fulfillment of the wish. Dang, like, what are the obstacles? And I'm sure if you look into it more,
Right.
like, if you just type in 11 Miles Ritual creepypasta, like, there will be a bunch of information on it, I guarantee it. Like, what each obstacle is on each mile. Just like the back rooms, they have levels. Like,
Right.
people have made up to, like, probably 500 levels, and about every single level. Like, level 1 is this monster, level 7 is this monster, and, like, a pink room or pools. Like, they have, like, all these different, I don't know, just,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I feel like I remember that one, too, like, as a kid, the 11 Miles Ritual.
I remember hearing, like,
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that.
Right. Okay, so Ted the Caver, the one that we mentioned earlier, Ted the Caver began as an Angel Fire website in early 2001 that documented the adventures of a man and his friends as they explored a local cave. The story is in the format of a series of blog posts. As the explorers move further into the cave, strange hieroglyphs and winds are encountered. In a final blog post, Ted writes that he and his companions would be bringing a gun into the cave after experiencing a series of nightmares and hallucinations. The blog post has not been updated since the final post.
Like, that's what's creepy about it. Like, is it
Yeah.
true? But then a lot of times creepypastas are just, like, stories that people make up. So, like,
Right.
that's the thing about creepypasta. You don't know, like, what's real and what's not. But, like,
Yeah.
I have a feeling 2001, and then there hasn't been an update since.
Well,
who's this Ted guy, you know?
There has been a movie made in 2013. But
About
other than
it?
that, yeah.
Well, right, but like the blog itself hasn't been
Right.
updated, you know?
Which, imagine if that was real and they like made a movie about it and everything.
That's crazy
Yeah.
to think. So yeah, like we said, could some of these be real? Like, it's really hard to
Right.
know what's real and what's not. Can something that comes from someone's mind become reality?
So,
You say that one, I don't know.
tulpas, a term reportedly borrowed from the Tibetan Buddhism, are imaginary companions who are said to have achieved full sentience after being conjured through thought form meditative practice.
So basically, like,
These are,
your highest form of
yeah.
self.
Well, something that like you created through meditation. Like a being.
Okay.
A being that you created through meditation that is sentient of itself. That knows.
So it's literally an idea that
Yep.
basically becomes a
Reality.
and reality.
And knows that they're
Wow.
tulpa, that they're
Like
something
manifestation, when you manifest
Yeah.
and things come true.
So could some of these paranormal things like have become true this way? I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure.
What about like real like other paranormal stuff or cryptids? Like could they have been created through someone's mind?
I'm sure.
Right.
I'm sure at some point.
With so many people and scary stories and images like Trevor's and other creators on the internet, it could be easy to understand why people may have thought these things to be real, especially if the artist is anonymous or no one knows where it came from. So there could have been hysteria like, this is real, like, oh my gosh.
So the first creepypasta we're reading is Slenderman, and this is like one of the known creepypastas, and I've seen so much about Slenderman, but I don't think I've actually read like the original creepypasta, so this will be new to me as well. After waking up with a jolt, the girl laid in bed a few seconds longer, reaching over to switch on her bedside lamp. She tried to remember exactly what had stolen her sweet slumber away. When she couldn't, the brunette swung her legs over the side of the bed and heaved herself up. Checking the time on her phone, she snorted when she saw it was midnight, the witching hour. Knowing that sleep would only evade her, she left her bedroom for the kitchen, a good cup of coffee on her mind. Coffee at midnight, okay. As she passed by her front door, a chill spread like liquid fire down her spine. It's only winter, she told herself, focusing again on the coffee plan. Measuring out scoops, water, and preparing her cup kept her occupied, but as the dark liquid boiled, she had nothing left to keep her mind from wandering off. The chill returned, and she couldn't help but glance behind her to the front door. It stood there innocently enough, just like always. The deadbolt was still in place, and she could see nothing amiss with it. Turning back to her coffee, she did her best to forget about the feeling. With her cup in hand, she started back towards her bedroom. As she walked by the front door, she decided that a quick glance out of the peephole would help calm her restless mind. The chill worsened with each step she took towards the door and further away from the safety and warmth of her blankets. She pressed her empty hand against the cold metal door and took a breath before leading her eye to the peephole. Ooh, so she's literally looking out the peephole of her front door. At first, she could only see an inky blackness and somehow seemed to swirl in itself. When she blinked in surprise, the void melted away. She wished it hadn't. In its place, there stood what she could only guess was once a man. The limbs were long and inhumanly awkward, with bulky joints branching off into several arms, not unlike the branches of a tree. The creature was draped in a black suit, somehow making the thing nightmarish to her. The icing on the proverbial cake, however, was that as she passed the hellish thing's face, it was as though her mind blurred the ghastly visage to spare itself further shock and horror. She shoved herself away from the door with the hand still pressed against it. The scalding coffee mug of coffee fell, the liquid burning her bare legs as she fell backwards and tried to crawl away from the door. She knew somehow that her mind hadn't been playing tricks on her. As she crab walked away from the door, she watched as tendrils as black as the void she first saw snake around through the cracks. Ooh, gross. The girl was trapped between the instinct to flee and the gut feeling not to turn her back on the door. When the door jolted, the urge to flee overcame her, and she slipped in the burning liquid as she tried to make it back to her room. She knew deep down that she was trapping herself in a corner, but she had to get away from the door. The girl was halfway down the hallway when she heard the previously locked door creak open. She screamed and slipped into a wall, cracking her chin on it and stunning her. After that, there was only blackness. Nicole? A warm male voice snapped the woman out of her trance. As she turned around, she was met by one of her sister's doctors. She nodded, not sure if she could say anything, not sure if she should say anything, or even if she could find her voice if she did have something to say. That morning, she had gotten an urgent phone call from the hospital saying that her sister, Lindsay, was there. Before they had even let her see her, the doctors had pulled her off to the side and insisted that they talk to her about what might have happened. Phrases like self-inflicted and assault had been thrown around, and Nicole felt her mind reel. She still hadn't fully understood what they had been saying until she saw Lindsay with her own eyes. Her little sister had a bandage wrapped around her head, covering both of her ears as well as her eyes. So I'm assuming when they said Nicole, now it's in her sister's point of view, and she is at the hospital for her little sister, Lindsay, covering both of her ears as well as her eyes. They said it was to keep her now deadened eyes from drying out, to try to keep an infection out of the wounds Lindsay had made to her ears. Lindsay had made. Okay. The doctors had guessed that either she or someone else had jammed a pencil into them to keep her off her balance, or to deafen herself against something. There was the mix of first and second degree burns on her hands, legs, and feet, from what was assumed to be the coffee her neighbors found slipped all over the entry of her apartment. As Nicole walked into her sister's hospital room for the first time, she thought she had spied the silhouette of a man in the window. That, she knew, was impossible. Her sister's room was on the 3rd story of a hospital. And that's it. And then there's, like, some pictures that you can look up of, like, Slenderman being, like, in the background, if you look up Slenderman.
Yeah.
And, like, the thing about Creepypasta, it's, like, are these images real? Are they edited, I assume? But, like,
that's why it became so famous, too, because people posted all of their pictures of this apparent Slender Man in the background of their photo, like, and no one knew if they were real or not.
Yeah.
And
there's video games, I'm sure movies and shit about it.
This became such a phenomenon, and I do remember, actually, this original story, like, reading it and everything. But it became so famous and so, like, in the public's eye.
Yeah.
I'll read a short synopsis of what happened. It's really short, but I think it should be read. So, on May 31st, 2014, 12-year-old Peyton Lautner was stabbed 19 times. The previous night, Peyton spent the night at a birthday sleepover with friends, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Wire. Sorry if I'm pronouncing these wrong. On the morning of May 31st, the girls went to a local park where Morgan and Anissa had intentions to kill Peyton. After the Slender Man stabbing Peyton, Morgan and Anissa left her in the woods and traveled 5 miles on foot. When police found the girls, they were calm and collected, explaining that Slender Man made them do it. They were told by Slender Man that they had to kill someone to be worthy of living alongside him, and if they failed, their family would be killed. Wisconsin states that an individual over 10 years of age can be tried as an adult in attempted murder cases. Both girls initially pled not guilty due to mental illness, but both took plea deals to avoid prison. Morgan, who stabbed Peyton, was sentenced to 40 years in a mental institution and was diagnosed with schizophrenia and psychotic spectrum disorder, which made her prone to delusions. Anissa, who planned the attempted murder, was sentenced to 25 years in a mental institution. Peyton Lautner miraculously survived the attack after crawling to an open patch of grass and being spotted by a bicyclist.
Oh my God.
Doctors stated that she was 1 millimeter away from death, as the kitchen knife used to stab her barely missed her heart. Slender Man is a fictional character created on a website called Creepypasta. The story was created by many individuals online and was added over the years. with fictional lore, hoax videos and sightings, and altered photographs. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Attempted murder, stabbed 19 times for Slenderman.
I've heard of that story.
Yeah, it's pretty popular, and like it's so sad. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
And like, what was going on? Like, had these
Right.
girls ever even heard of Slenderman from Creepypasta? Or is Slenderman real and like made these girls go into psychosis and like literally like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that story.
Yeah.
I got cold listening to that story.
Me too. So another pretty famous one is the Rake Creepypasta. And if you look up the Rake photo, like, I'm sure you'll recognize it just by the photo. Yeah. So, I'll read it. It's kind of like with notes, I think. So, a suicide note, 1964. As I prepare to take my life, I feel it necessary to assuage any guilt or pain I have introduced through this act. It is not the fault of anyone other than him, for once I awoke and felt his presence, and once I awoke and saw his form. Once again I awoke and heard his voice and looked into his eyes. I cannot sleep without fear of what I might next awake to experience. I cannot ever wake. Goodbye. Found in the same wooden box were 2 empty envelopes addressed to William and Rose, and 1 loose personal letter with no envelope. Dearest Lenny, I have prayed for you. He spoke your name. A journal entry, translated from Spanish, 1880. I have experienced the greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I see his eyes when I close mine. They are hollow, black. They saw me and pierced me. His wet hand. I will not sleep. His voice. Unintelligible text. A mariner's log, 1691. He came to me in my sleep. From the foot of the bed, I felt a sensation. He took everything. We must return to England. We shall not return here again at the request of the Rake.
Oh my God.
A witness from 2006. 3 years ago, I had just returned from a trip from Niagara Falls with my family for the 4th of July. We were all very exhausted after a long day of driving, so my husband and I put the kids right to bed and called it a night. At about 4 a.m., I woke up thinking my husband had gotten up to use the restroom. I used the moment to steal back the sheets, only to wake him in the process. I apologized and told him I thought he had gotten out of bed. When he turned to face me, he gasped and pulled his feet up from the end of the bed so quickly his knee almost knocked me out of the bed. Then he grabbed me and said nothing. After adjusting to the dark for a half second, I was able to see what caused this strange reaction. At the foot of the bed, sitting and facing away from us, there was what appeared to be a naked man or a large, hairless dog of some sort. Its body position was disturbing and unnatural, as if it had been hit by a car or something. For some reason, I was not instantly frightened by it, but more concerned as to its condition. At this point, I was somewhat under the assumption that we were supposed to help him. What? No. My husband was peering over his arm and knee, tucked into the fetal position, occasionally glancing at me before returning to the creature. In a flurry of motion, the creature scrambled around the side of the bed and then crawled quickly in a flailing sort of motion right along the bed until it was less than a foot from my husband's face. That creature was completely silent for about 30 seconds, or probably closer to 5. It just seemed like a while. Just looking at my husband. The creature then placed its hand on his knee and ran into the hallway leading to the kids' rooms. I screamed and ran for the light switch, planning to stop him before he hurt my children. When I got to the hallway, the light from the bedroom was enough to see it crouching and hunched over about 20 feet away. He turned around and looked directly at me, covered in blood. I flipped the switch on the wall and saw my daughter Clara. The creature ran down the stairs while my husband and I rushed to help our daughter. She was very, very badly injured and spoke only once more in her short life. She said, He is the rake. My husband drove the car into a lake that night while rushing our daughter to the hospital. He did not survive.
Oh my god.
Being a small town, news got around pretty quickly. The police were helpful at first, and the local newspaper took a lot of interest as well. However,
yeah, until they said what it was.
Right. However, the story was never published, and the local television news never followed up either.
Of course.
Yep. For several months, my son Justin and I stayed in a hotel near my parents' house. After we decided to return home, I began looking for answers myself.
Return to the home that happened in?
Yeah. Never, I would never. I eventually located a man in the next town over who had a similar story. We got contacted and began talking about our experiences. He knew of 2 other people in New York who had also seen the creature we now refer to as the rake. It took the 4 of us about 2 solid years of hunting on the internet and writing letters to come up with a small collection of what we believed to be accounts of the rake. None of them gave any details, history, or follow-up. One journal had an entry involving the creature in its first 3 pages and never mentioned it again. A ship's log explained nothing of the encounter, saying only that they were told to leave by the rake. That was the last entry in the log. However, many instances where the creature's visit was one of a series of visits with the same person. Multiple people had mentioned being spoken to, my daughter included. This led us to wonder if the rake had visited any of us before our last encounter. I set up a digital recorder near my bed and left it running all night, every night, for 2 weeks. I only tediously scanned through the sounds of me rolling around in bed each day when I awoke. By the end of the 2nd week, I was quite used to the occasional sound of sleep while blurring through the recording at 8 times the normal speed, which still took almost an hour every day. On the first day of the 3rd week, I thought I heard something different. What I found was a shrill voice. It was the rake. I can't listen to it long enough to even begin to transcribe it. I haven't let anyone listen to it yet. All I know is that I've heard it before, and I now believe that it spoke when it was sitting in front of my husband. I don't remember hearing anything at the time, but for some reason, the voice on the recorder immediately brings me back to that moment. The thoughts that must have gone through my daughter's head make me very upset. I have not seen the rake since he ruined my life, but I know that he has been in my room while I slept. I know the fear that one night I'll wake up and see him staring at me.
And that's it?
Mm-hmm.
And when was this one? 2006?
Like,
the thing about Creepypasta, like, these entries were typed by someone, but, like, did they get the entries from another website? Like,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, we need to find this girl if she's even real, and if she's not real, like, someone could have literally just made this up and then put it on the internet. Like, that's the thing about Creepypastas. You don't freaking know.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
April 27th, 2009.
Oh my god.
So terrifying. Could it be true? Is it just from someone's imagination? Like, where did they get this idea? Are all thoughts, stories, and ideas created from reality?
I don't know.
I don't
know even how to answer that question. Like,
I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know. There you go.
Creepypastas. And we'll do another episode probably coming up about, like, just other creepypastas. Like, we'll just, like, do a whole entire episode, like, reading creepypastas.
Mm-hmm. I would love to do that.
Yes, we definitely need to do that. Well,
hope you enjoyed. Hope it's not midnight while you're listening or watching.
Don't listen. Like, just forewarning. Probably any of our episodes, unless we say, like, in the very beginning of an episode that this is a lighthearted episode, which probably will be rarely any episodes.
Right.
Don't listen to our episodes at night. Yeah, maybe you will, but, like, just... Yeah, don't.
I wouldn't suggest it or advise it unless you don't want to get sleep.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah.
Oh, another thing that we didn't mention. We're going on vacation in November.
Woo! Yes, we are. It's in the Caribbean, and we are going to be in paradise.
Yep. It's fun, so...
I'm going to cry when we get there.
Me too. Oh, and we're going to Elenium in June.
Yes!
We forgot
Finally.
all our new stuff.
Right.
I've seen Millennium. I think it's my 8th time seeing him.
Jesus.
7th or 8th time seeing him.
I've been wanting to see him for like 5 years. Nonetheless, we're big fans.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And my sister finally can go because the one year she wasn't old enough still. Like, she hasn't been old enough still. And then, like, one of the years was COVID, so he didn't play. Mm-hmm. And then last year I was pregnant. I was like, I think he came in December last year. So I was like almost 9 months
on
pregnant.
the verge.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But yeah, there's some creepypastas for you guys.
Hope you enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. We love you guys.
Have a good week.
Yep. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.